I kind of take that all the way back to my childhood. I have always enjoyed doing crafty hobbies. I really started making quilts and sewing probably at the age of like 9 or 10 with my grandma. And that kind of evolved through into college. When I was in college, I finished a psychology degree and went, I'm not sure if I want to do that. So I continued on and got a ceramics and sculpture degree from Fairmont State.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, Interaction Media, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Folks, we're visiting today with Emily Harki. She is the owner and creator of Create Gift Studio by Harki Handmade. Emily, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, all the way from Ida May. Well,
yes.
that's where you
Originally.
grew up, but you're from the Marion County area, right in Fairmont. Mm-hmm. And it's great to have you with us, and I'm looking forward to learning about your business. So, Emily, tell us a little bit about Create Gift Studio and what you're doing.
So Create Gift Studio is a laser engraving and embroidery studio that's in Fairmont. I'm open by appointment. And we do laser engraving on various materials, everything from your Stanley cup to your specialty leather wares. And then I also specialize in customized gifts, and those would include everything from like hand-drawn maps of your location, three-dimensional like handprints and footprints of your kids, as well as like engraved photography. Yeah. So those are the kind of customized fully things. One of the other really popular customized gifts is handwriting cutting boards. So taking your grandmother's handwriting and putting it onto a cutting board to commemorate the recipe.
Oh my goodness, that's an amazing idea. Yeah. So if your grandma or great grandma may have handwritten a recipe that's your favorite, you could have that put it onto a cutting board.
Yeah, absolutely.
In her writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. And so the way I see that is like you're doing things for personal gifts, right? But also corporate gifts as well.
Yeah, I enjoy doing like bulk gifts and bulk embroidery. So those include, everything from like 10 to 250 pieces of your choosing. I have kind of catalogs of different engravables. So with the studio open, I'm able to sit down and talk with you to design all of those things for you.
So Emily, how long have you been in business? Tell us that journey.
That journey's a long one. I actually started in 2014. I graduated college in 2013 and started my business in 2014.
Amazing.
Doing various things up until now. So it's kind of an evolving thing.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's part of the entrepreneurial journey is trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah,
Evolving,
absolutely.
Changing,
yes.
Listening to your customers and understanding where it's going.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I would be remiss also if I did not point out the Positively West Virginia mug and the Stay Positive mug. These are hand done by you as well. These are gifts for everybody who comes on the podcast.
Yeah.
And so you've done a great job for us too, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
As well. So let's talk a little bit about how you got started into business. Then you said first of all, I mentioned you grew up in Ida May, Marion County, live in Fairmont now, in Marion County. How did you get started into business, and what's your background?
I kind of take that all the way back to my childhood. I have always enjoyed doing crafty hobbies. I really started making quilts and sewing probably at the age of like 9 or 10 with my grandma. And that kind of evolved through into college. When I was in college, I finished a psychology degree and went, I'm not sure if I want to do that. So I continued on and got a ceramics and sculpture degree from Fairmont State.
Yeah.
After that, I went to the Chautauqua Institution and studied up there and did large-scale ceramic installations.
That's in New York?
It is in New York, yeah. It's just below Buffalo.
Yeah. Chautauqua.
Yeah. And so I did large-scale installations up there, have some art hanging in some galleries and things, and then moved back home and started my business out of my house doing hand-painted wine glasses and ceramic jewelry, and kind of have evolved from there.
Yeah. So at the heart of it sounds like you're really an artist, and that's the basis of it all. So talk a little bit about, that from that perspective, what that means to your business.
To be an artist, so right now I'm kind of in a production mode, I guess I should say. I tend and like to do bulk items, but I really enjoy those items that you can say, I have this idea, and I get to sit down with you and talk through the idea and then create the art from the beginning. I kind of hold that really close to me, and I try to use that to set myself apart, because there's a lot of crafters that do really amazing things, but I can see some things from a different standpoint.
Yeah, and you're also trained professionally as an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is pretty powerful, right?
Yeah.
In doing, whether you're doing crafting or you're in the art space, but you have a training in it.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
not just like self-taught or what. Not that there's anything wrong with that. In fact, you and I have talked before that you are actually a juried artisan at Tamarack here in West Virginia. Talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so I juried into Tamarack in 2016. I was doing ceramic jewelry at the time, and I've sold work down there and been down there a handful of times. So it's been a little while since I've touched base.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I mean that to me is that like I said, that's powerful in terms of your brand and what sets Create Gift Studio by Harki Handmade apart, right? Yeah. Because it seems like a lot of folks are doing, shows, and there's nothing wrong with that. You go out and do a craft show or something like that, but this is a completely different level, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
of your background and experience. So you mentioned, you've been doing these types of things since you were a kid.
Yeah.
It's like you were created, you're doing the work you were created to do almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah.
What inspired you to say, I'm going to do this as my business, and instead of going out and getting a job or something like that and doing this as a hobby, this is your business, your livelihood full time.
Yeah. So when I came back from the Chautauqua Institution, I had my first son, and truly that's what made me kind of open my business. I needed to have something flexible that I was able to be a mom first. And that was always my highest priority. And now that both of my kids are in school, I'm able to expand that and really do it full time and focus in on growing and continuing the business.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I fell into, I didn't want a 9-to-5 job, I guess is how you would put it.
Yeah.
I wanted something that I was able to do through in my house and to be flexible, so that I could be there for the important moments.
I love that. And I think, as you're talking, I'm reminded that one of the reasons we do this show is to inspire young people.
Yeah.
Maybe they're getting out of high school or maybe, out of college, and we have this influx out. We export a lot of human capital here in West Virginia. A lot of our young people flee the state because of, the so-called lack of opportunity. And here's a great example. You created your own opportunity.
Yeah.
You took the skills and the talents that you have and said, hey, I think there's a market for this, and started a business in 2014. Here you are 10 years later. So let's talk a little bit about you mentioned a couple of the products that you create and so forth like that. What's the thing you're best known for?
Best known, probably my handwriting cutting boards. I know we've already kind of discussed those a little bit, but those are always the things that I really value being able to make. Those are such personal items. So I'm able to take those and create this long-lasting gift that always sparks tears. I get so many comments around Christmas time that, I made mom cry because that was her mom's handwriting, and those are always the best things. I really value being able to make those items, and then hearing your stories back. And those have been shipped and given all over the United States at this point.
That's amazing. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
At Freedom Kia, you'll find the perfect ride and savings for your summer adventures. This summer, dive into savings and fun. Just down the road is the Aquatic Center at Milan Park, where you can cool off and have some fun.
Committed to fair pricing, excellent sales, and service with no hidden fees. You'll love the all-new 2024 Kia Sportage X-Line all-wheel drive leasing for just $239 a month.
So whether you're diving into savings or fun, Freedom Kia and the Aquatic Center have got you covered. Visit Freedom Kia today, right off of exit 153 on I-79 in Morgantown.
Folks, we're visiting with Emily Harki. She is the owner and creator of Create Gift Studio by Harki Handmade. Emily, let's talk about your 30-second pitch. When you meet somebody, they say, Emily, what do you do? What do you tell them?
It's always a little bit of a hard question for me because I tend to have a broad range.
Yeah.
But as my 30-second pitch, I'd probably tell you that I am a laser engraving and embroidery studio, looking to be able to put your logos and your ideas and create those ideas and put them on something physical. So everything from apparel to your Stanley Cup, and everything in between.
Yeah, when you're talking about the Stanley Cup, you're talking about like the Yeti cups.
Yeah. The Yeti cups with the handles.
It's amazing how popular those things have gotten.
It really is.
Cool. And you could personalize them with any kind of. It's like a laser engraving, basically. Yes. Yeah. That's pretty cool. What would you say, Emily, is the thing you're most excited about your company right now? What has you like? I'm all juiced up for this.
So I have just moved into a new studio in Fairmont, and that has allowed me to have a showroom with samples of all of my laser engraving products. Yeah. That also has allowed me to expand my embroidery part of my business. So when you come in there, you're able to see the embroidery going, and you're also able to sit down with me and kind of discuss discuss all of your needs for any of the producs.
Yeah, that's really nice. So if somebody has an idea for just a one-of project, or it could be mass produced, that's something you're interested in talking to folks about.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Where do your customers come? In other words, do you serve a particular geographic region?
So I'm in Fairmont, but I started my business and really grew my business through Etsy. So I was able to, I have been able to ship worldwide.
Is that still going on?
Yeah, it slowed down a little bit, just because I took some time off from that. But
how does that work? I've always been intrigued by Etsy. I bought products and gifts off of Etsy before, unique things and that type of thing. How does it work setting that up? Is it maybe
It's a pretty simple process. You just go on and create your page, put all of your listings in there. You really kind of have to hone in on your SEO and those search engine keywords. Yes. Yeah. But then people from all over the world are able to see your products. I have sold from everywhere, from Sweden to Australia and France.
No kidding.
I think I've shipped to every state in the United States.
It's all basically crafters, like people that make artisans and people that make handcrafted products.
Yeah. And Etsy has really taken its time to kind of hone in on getting out the scammers and getting just crafters and handmade products in there. They're kind of going through and making sure that all of that is very, very legitimate. In there.
Yeah, well, you want to have a credible source.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're buying, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. Do you have any employees at this point?
I do not.
What's the most interesting thing that you've created so far since you've been in business 10 years?
Interesting. I really enjoy making like the topography maps, and creating the layers of topography from the state of West Virginia, or even like travel maps, and puzzle maps, if that makes sense. Yeah. Taking all of the counties out of West Virginia and putting them back together. I really think those are kind of interesting and fun, and you're able to play with them and see them and yet hang them up and display. Yeah, absolutely. Educational. Yeah.
That's cool. So you had mentioned the 3D map of somebody's location. So if you said, hey, here's the spot that we got engaged. Mm-hmm. And you wanted to create something, as a gift for that, you could do that?
Yeah. So a lot of times with those maps, I actually take the map itself from Google Maps and I hand draw all of the main roads, the side roads, the rivers, and a little bit of topography in there. And then I will pinpoint that spot on the map from its coordinates.
Oh, like GPS coordinates.
Yeah, like the GPS coordinates. Right. And then I'll take that map, cut it out in layers, paint and create it. So
yeah, that's amazing. That
Yeah.
sounds really cool. I've never seen one yet, but hopefully are those on your website?
Yeah. You
Yeah,
can get those
I'll
on my
have to
website.
check those out for sure. So, you know, I mentioned, you know, what's the thing you're most excited about? What's the vision that you have for your business, like long term? What does that look like?
Long term is just to keep going steady. Things have really picked up and become steady, and I'm able to continue expanding. One thing about me is I really enjoy and love learning the new processes, the new materials, and continuing to explore. That's kind of one of those things that I allow myself to do every day, is just to continue to explore and to find new things. So continuing to expand and to learn those new items.
Yeah. Well, how do you keep up on trends like that? Because I would imagine that's a tough thing to do.
It is, honestly, I still go back to Pinterest. I do Pinterest a lot. It's probably one of my favorite things. And I just continue to find blogs and to find online sources through YouTube and podcasts and things to show me how to make new things. I think I once described myself as a how it's made video. Do you remember those videos on like
like Discovery Channel?
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
I love those.
So
Yeah.
I have grew up watching those for my free time, and in some ways I just kind of describe my life as that. I want to learn how it's made and to learn the
That's
process
super
and
cool. Yeah.
figure out how to make it and perfect it for you.
And so, like in your shop, your studio now in Fairmont, you had mentioned, I think, in a conversation that you and I had, you have kilns, like because your ceramics business, you still work in that with the jewelry and so forth. And it's been a while since you've done an art installation, but what other tools do you use? Like, are they like laser machines? Are they? I don't know. Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
So I really enjoy machinery and all of that. So I have an embroidery machine that's a 10 needle embroidery machine. I have a laser engraver. I have screen print presses. The laser engraver, in fact, I have two of those. I have a 100-watt and a 60-watt CO2 laser.
That's amazing.
I have kilns. And I enjoy finding those tools and that machinery to be able to figure all of it out and take it apart and put it back together and figure out how it works and then figure out what I can make on it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it's always a challenge, and it always keeps everything really exciting.
Very creative mind, for sure.
Yeah.
This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
My name's Caitlin Furby. I'm an interior designer with Remarkable Interiors. Our time is very limited. We're trying to do everything we can possible to keep our clients' projects moving and rolling. So Storymaker has been really great for us for putting out how to explain our company. I can sit and agonize about a post and is this right? Does this sound good? When I use Storymaker, it sounds so beautiful and it was so easy and it saves me a lot of time to do the things that I'm really good at.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Get reliable, fiber-powered 500 megabits internet for $39.99 per month with a $100 gift card and price lock guarantee, plus a free modem, free installation, and free Wi-Fi your way. Folks, here at Interaction Media, we're a media company, and we rely on high-speed internet every single day to get our jobs done. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, it's fast, and they're awesome people as well. Learn more at breezeline.com. Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Emily Harki. She is the owner of Create Gift Studio by Harki Handmade, and that's the name of your company. It's long and complicated, but I know you're working on that to get that down. How do you get the word out, Emily, about your business, and how do you attract new customers?
So right now, I'm not always the best at social media. I probably shouldn't admit that. But right now I use social media. I use Etsy. I'm on TikTok a little bit and some other things. But then also mostly probably the majority of my business comes from word of mouth.
Yeah. Referrals.
So referrals and word of mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And I'm a big advocate of referrals, and like the things you talked about, social media, they're all important, just having a presence out there. And I get it, we're all busy and it's hard to keep yourself reminded that those things are important. But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
In terms of growing your business, what's the highest challenge you face, the biggest challenge you face?
In terms of growing my business, well, one of the biggest challenges I always find is expressing that I'm an artist, and that's kind of what sets me apart.
Yes.
Right now we're in summer, so being a mom takes priority.
Yeah,
So my time is a little bit more limited than once school starts. But then once school starts, I'll be in it full time and there all the time. And then, one of my biggest challenges is social media. I continue to work on it, but I always feel very salesy, and I don't want to feel salesy.
Yeah,
so
well, you're an artist. You need to let your art speak for itself, and the work that you do, and these really truly remarkable, one of a kind gifts, and then of course the mass produced stuff too. Is like I said, our Positively West Virginia Stay Positive mug. We just love these, and it's just so well done. You do a great job.
Thank you.
So you mentioned you have a couple of children, both sons.
Yes, I have 2 boys.
So you're leading your business. You're the only employee.
Yes.
But you're leading yourself. You're leading your business. You're leading a family as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're leading out in the community and all the different things that you're involved with. What would you say is the most important attribute of a successful business leader today?
Continuing to explore, because it keeps you excited about things. I think it's really important that we allow ourselves to falter, but we also continue to push ourselves and to explore and to keep finding new things. For me, it's finding new materials and finding new items to make, products to make. But I think that's important.
I think that's important too. Lifelong learning is kind of what that follows under, and it's almost impossible to. Well, I've heard it said this way. You may have heard it too. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
And so in business, I think it's very important what you just said. To explore new processes, new tools that might be out there, the trends.
Yeah.
Like we talked about already.
Yeah.
That to me is vital, because you have to be relevant in today's market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I think about a small entrepreneur like yourself, an artist doing really cool work that people love. You give that engraved cutting board with grandma's recipe on it, and it brings them to tears. That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't know how to do that unless you have the technology. If you're keeping up with the laser engraver, what was it again? 1,000-watt CO2
it's
laser.
100-watt CO2.
Could you start a war with that thing or what? It sounds
I'm not sure.
Sounds pretty pretty. I was going to say badass, but I don't want to swear. But that's what it sounds like. Yeah, that's great. So, as somebody who was born in Ida May, West Virginia, in Marion County, and lived in West Virginia your whole life, basically.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, what would you say you would tell somebody, maybe a younger person thinking about starting a business, or for that matter, anybody thinking about starting a business here in West Virginia? What advice would you give them?
Be persistent. Keep pushing on, keep exploring, and be persistent. Keep finding new places and new things new places to show your work and new things to produce. And really, allow yourself to falter also.
Have you ever had any of those moments where you just said, maybe I should just go get a job?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, how do you press on in those times?
Stepping back and looking at my accomplishments, I think that's really important. Sometimes accomplishments seem like they're so far back and down the road, and we've moved so far past that, but really those are accomplishments that got me to where I am. So stepping back and looking at those and going, okay, no, I really can do this. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
So
I love that. You're speaking right to me, because I've had so many failures in my career, and then you learn from them and they make you better. If anybody thinks that success is just that success, no, it's the failures that create the success, the opportunities, the lessons that are learned. I think about even when we started this podcast back in 2017, I was recording it on an iPhone. Now we've got a studio, we got a producer, we got cameras and the mics and an audience, But it didn't happen day one. You know,
Yeah.
it takes time, and you got to stick with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that your advice is right on point. You know, I think about you know, maybe you could just speak to that point from an artist's point of view, because a lot of times, you know, people will say, you know, you're the starving artist, right?
Yeah.
But I've interviewed a lot of people on the show over the years that have been artists and have created full-time careers, and they actually have employees and things like that. Maybe it gives your insight from an artist's point of view on what it's like to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, from an artist's point of view, I think it's kind of, it still falls sort of down in the same thing as continuing to follow the trends, finding those new things, and getting yourself excited about your business. You know, sometimes we get brought down by all of the things that we do falter at, or the things that don't go the way that we think they're going to go. But it's really important to find the things that excite you, and to find the things that you want to continue.
Passion.
Yeah, the passion, the things that are going to continue pushing you along.
Emily, we've covered a lot in our interview here today.
Yeah.
And you've got a great story, and I love your business. Is there anything else you think our listeners should know about you personally or your business?
You know, I think probably just that I'm local and I'm me. I am the one that's going to be talking to you, designing your work, creating your work, and producing it. And I say that because I find it really important to be able to see where it's produced and why it's important to me, instead of popping online and finding something that is going to be mass produced somewhere else.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
That
Where's your
directly
studio
impacts.
located in Fairmont?
It is located at 309 Cleveland Avenue, across from Huntington Bank and the FBI Professional Building, and I'm on the fourth
Amazing.
floor. So.
That's great. So how can folks learn more about you and even get in contact with you? If you can give us your website and social media.
Absolutely. So I have a website that is creategiftstudio.com. Create Gift Studio is on all of the social media platforms. And on my website, I have an appointment booker that you're able to go in and book an appointment. That way,
amazing.
I'm able to be there, and it's kind of open-ended. I'm able to be there, you know. I'm pretty flexible in my schedule, so.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we'll make sure we have links to that in the show notes and on social media too. And folks, if you haven't done so, check out Create Gift Studio by Harki Handmade. Emily Harki has been our guest today. Emily, it's been an honor to have you on our show. I love your story. I love your company and what you're doing. And again, thanks for the Positively West Virginia Stay Positive mugs. We love those. And I think what you're doing is just really great. And I want to encourage you to keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, Interaction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positivelywv.com/sponsor.
Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on our show, drop us a line at positively.wv.com. And of course, we appreciate your positive reviews and your encouragement along the way as well. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Justin Schofield behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.